Hello, and welcome to another episode of Infinitely Gem and Tea, where we are discussing self awareness, self development, growth, and healing. So, yeah, how was your week since the last time we talked, T?
It has been pretty good, I will
Uh huh.
say. Yesterday, I was on my deathbed, but we survived, and I'm here. I'm here to tell the tale.
Well, whatever you feel like you want to share, please do. We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. I know for me, my week has been, since the last time we talked, I think that I was doing a lot of things with my business. I was doing a lot of assisting because I do virtual assisting as well. And I have some clients that I work with and help them organize their time. And I was organizing my time. I had some misses. I had a book club that I was in the midst of. I had a study group that I was in the midst of. So it was pretty eventful and definitely enjoying a little bit of quiet because the parents are away for the weekend and celebrating my sister-in-law's birthday. The house has been pretty quiet. So I just kind of been doing my own thing. And it's like, not having to do any caretaking and taking care of your sister and my granddaughter. It has been, you know, it's been a welcome time of just ease. And I've been in this energy of ease for like, I have to say, maybe about a month or so, and just really sitting in awareness about where I want to go, transitioning and things like that, transitioning into or pivoting into something that's new and different, like this podcast.
Yeah, growth. I love it. I love it. So, would you say it was more peaceful, or do you think you've been very productive when it comes to having this week and having everyone out of the house?
So I think it's been peaceful, not having the extra things that I have to be concerned about. And I think a lot of that is me. I've learned that I tend to create more work for myself than necessary. And I'm learning that I have been better at not worrying about things that I really don't have control over, specifically other people. I know that I can control myself and my reaction to people,
Mm.
and even outside in society when you're running errands and you're out at the store or you're driving, I'm less inclined to be irritated and annoyed by the things that society is doing outside. And
Mm.
that is definitely an indication of my growth and awareness because I've been using some tools and studying and looking at different ways to be more grounded and, making sure that my mental health is in a space of less anxiety because I
Mm.
do
Mm. Mm.
I do experience anxiety, especially when I go out in society. And I've learned to just prepare myself and get grounded. And I have some spiritual practices that I put in place when I wake up in the morning. Meditation, and meditation is really interesting. People think meditation is not thinking and not having anything come to mind. And for me, meditation is having the awareness of what's on your mind and the things that you're saying to yourself and the self talk that you have. So it's really interesting. Everyone's thoughts on that is different. And for me, it's just really all about easing my way into the day and
Mm.
setting intentions. And if I have agenda items that I have to take care of, if they get completed, great. If not, there's always another day. And if it doesn't get
Mm.
completed, I'm not so hard on myself. I give myself a lot of grace. So yeah, definitely in a better place. And so the peace and ease that I've had, it's just because of my mindset. My mindset has changed and it has shifted in a way that's more beneficial to me.
Hmm. That's a good place to be. I know mindset is a huge thing, especially when you're in this creative mode, because you don't want to. What is it? When you're like forcing something rather than having something come like with a flow, you tend to be a lot more on task when you're not trying to force, I
Right.
guess, the state of like mind and state of being. So it's pretty awesome. I
Yeah,
realize
my body.
I haven't been able to like actually like relax. I've just been in like work mode. But I'm happy I took yesterday off. Yesterday was like a really great day to like just relax. It was kind of like not rainy, but it was like like dreary outside. So
Mhm.
I was able to relax and come to a few epiphanies throughout the day that I realized that I'm getting back on track because
Mhm.
I feel like when I'm in my working mode, I just think of only work and like
Mhm.
paying bills and eating. I don't think about anything else. But yesterday I had the space to actually like dream and like nap. And it was, although I was dying, it was a great day, I would say. Like everything happens for a reason. And I feel like when your body's telling you to relax and to chill, that's when you need to chill. Like I was even sick, still trying to go out and like hang out and make memories with my friends. But I was like, my body was literally telling me, like, you need to relax. You're doing too
Hmm.
much. So,
Yeah, you were being present, and that's one of the things that definitely needs to be put into practice more,
mm,
because we live in this society and we have to work, we have to make a living to support, our four, the finances. What are the four? God, it's slipping my mind right now, but food, shelter, transportation, and something else. I can't remember.
mm,
But when we're so concerned and consumed by making a living to make sure that we take care of those basic needs, it takes away from our ability to sit and be present in our body. And I think that when you had that imbalance occur,
mm,
that it allowed you to be present and you really listened to your body instead of trying to go out there and your body kept saying, no, you're not well enough or balanced enough to go out here and do the things that you're intending to do. It's time to just be still and let your body heal and let your body rest,
mm,
because apparently there was something in your body that needed to be discarded. It needed to be purged. And that's why
mm,
you had felt as bad as you're feeling. And I want to make note and bring this to your awareness and your attention. We really have to be mindful of the things that we say. You just said that you felt like you were dying or you were dying.
mm,
We have to really come to this realization that our words have power. And yeah, that was you were expressing, and that was the adjective that you chose. That's the word that you chose to use for that experience. You felt that way. But
mm,
when we are expressing things out, because our words have power, when we say things like that, it brings more of that, because the universe recognizes the words that we're saying. So we have to be intentional with our words. And if you notice, I'm doing my best to not have filler words, and I'm
right.
trying to be intentional about the words that I'm saying. And intention is everything, and you want to speak life into your experience. You had a moment of imbalance. I said imbalance, you said what you said,
Mm,
and I don't want to keep
mm,
repeating it, but we
mm,
know what you said previously. So you had this, you weren't feeling well at this particular time. You may have felt
right.
like you were, but you were unwell and your body was
Mm,
saying, let's get you healing. And that's why you had to take that time to be at home, to
mm,
consume the things that you needed to consume to bring your body back into balance,
mm.
hydrate yourself, and your
I had
body
pho, by
needed
the
to
way, and it was
purge.
delicious.
Yeah.
Gave me life.
And then
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I do.
yeah.
I
So
try not
this
to say
teachable
those.
moment.
Yeah, I try not to say them for the most part. Sometimes I do slip. So thank you for
Yeah.
reminding, because I do try to get in a habit, because I do feel like a lot, as what you said before, like your subconscious, you speak it into existence. So
Yes.
I try to do the positive affirmations in the morning, and I try to make
Hmm.
sure that I'm thinking in a more positive light. And when I said that, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
already
and
been said.
that's not teachable moment, and this is what it's all
Hmm.
about. This is what I'm gonna really just. This is what I love about what we're doing with this podcast, is that there are going to be
Mm,
moments when I say something or you say something, and we bring something to our awareness about rewording those things that we say, setting our intentions,
hmm,
our spirituality, our self awareness, our self development, and just knowing that our words have meaning and power. I want to bring it back to the Bible. Someone that is more spiritually inclined, not necessarily someone who goes to church frequently now. I did when I was younger, and in the Bible
mm,
it states, God said, let there be light, and there was light. That right there, depending upon where you are in your spiritual growth, you can interpret that to basically enforce what I'm saying, that when we speak things, we speak them into existence, and we have to be
mm,
mindful of the words that we say. And I don't really like to discuss religion, because sometimes it can be a touchy subject. But for this instance, and I think that I'm probably going to change my perspective on that, because I was someone that was, quote unquote religious,
mm,
and that was because that was what I was brought up in. And as I got older and evolved, I was more inclined to be more into spirituality. And what that means for me is having a relationship with myself, with my mind, body, and spirit wellness specifically. And
mm,
some of the things we don't necessarily have to throw away, but we can have a different perspective on it, because as we evolve and get get older and we grow and we learn, we understand that a lot of the things that have been put out there have kind of been twisted to the advantage of other people sometimes, and a disadvantage for those that, do their due diligence or try to learn or have a different perspective or have that growth and development and things. And so that's what I love about what we're doing, because we get the opportunity to express our opinions and our beliefs about it. And it is definitely the intention that this particular podcast brings those kinds of conversations, have people be more aware of, everything pertaining to their selves and their higher self, their awareness, and how the self talk and the things that we say to ourselves or the things that we've experienced when we were younger that would be considered programming, that a lot of that kind of gets, broken down and, seen a little bit differently and
Mm.
actually for our highest and greatest good. Yeah.
There was a lot in that sentence. I was trying to
I'm
process
sorry.
it.
I'm
I
sorry.
was like, you went from talking about religion to talking about childhood. I was like, wait a minute.
And that's gonna
I was
happen.
I put a note on in my brain that was like talking about Christianity, and then you went and you talked about something else. I was like, wait, and I'm a processor, so it takes me a little bit, but we're here. We're
I
here.
know.
I was
I'm
gonna
so
say
sorry.
no, what I was going to say, it was the same thing about the spirituality. I had never got to a place where, some people grow up in the church and Christianity or whatever religion
Uh
that they believe in, and they tend to like not like it or they move away from it. I'd
huh.
say I would never have that thought of like, I am appreciative of everything that Christianity taught me when I
Uh
was
huh.
younger, because I do feel like religion does teach us to have a really good, solid moral code, and
Yeah.
it teaches us good and bad, like
Mhm.
right and evil, right? So
Mhm.
whenever I'm talking to someone that's like deep into Christianity, or like someone that's like, I don't like to say closed minded, but I will say they clearly have an objective
Mhm.
to get you to believe in their beliefs. I would love to say that the one thing I did take out of Christianity and into this spiritual journey that I'm in right now is that just to be open minded. And
Mhm.
although we have our initial reactions to things, and sometimes we do tend to like lash out, especially when you're feeling something, or you've experienced something throughout the day that kind of alters your brain. But you have to realize that what you said earlier is like, life is, what is it? It's a quote. What life is, 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it.
Mhm.
And I feel like in a lot of these conversations, when people are speaking about religions and about spirituality, they have this negative connotation to it because maybe they've had that one experience with that one person. But just know that that one person was going through something, and you shouldn't
Mhm.
hold on to that. I feel like religion does teach you how to love and how to care for your neighbor, but at the same time, it does teach you about self love and self reflection as well.
Mhm.
Going back to it, I'm very appreciative of me having that background in the church. And although I'm still not like in that mindset of having the desire to go to church and being around certain people in the church, I very much love that the lessons and the opportunities that it brought me. So, and going
Yeah.
on with
Yeah.
the undoing the childhood, like I wouldn't say limitations, but like the programming that we received as a kid was teaching you how to assimilate better into society, right? And I
Mhm.
feel like adulthood is kind of teaching you how to find your individuality again. So you're always like learning and unlearning things constantly. Whatever the world
Mhm.
is trying to teach you, it's just massive, and it can be overwhelming, because my 20s was, I felt like a lot of that soul searching, trying to identify myself, because I spent so much time as a kid trying to assimilate better into society, and then I realized that's something that I didn't want, and I didn't mind being a little bit more of an individual. And now I'm unlearning everything, all the things that I learned in my early like childhood years and teen years. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I was pretty young when I had all of you, and I was in my 20s when I had you. So I definitely was still learning and, had an understanding that the principles that come from the Bible, they stand. And actually, the principles come from another place. And, in my experience and my study and my research, it was written by man, but interpreted through, they say, through other means. And I won't get into that because I still have to look into that. There's still so much that I know a lot of people who are scholars on this could definitely break down a lot better than I could.
Mm.
And it's a foundation, and some explain it as, oh, it's allegory, it's not literal, or there's all these arguments and debates that I don't really want to participate in, because it all comes back to another person's perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly care for debate unless it's productive and it leads to a solution. And I find that sometimes those debates that they have don't always reach a solution, especially something that is typically sensitive to a lot of people. And we were kind of brought up that, those that are really, staunch, quote, religious, and, there's all these words, Bible thumpers, or people who quote the Bible and then they quote it to leverage whatever it is that they're trying to get from that other person or hold over the other person in terms of judgment. So there's this whole array of things that are involved with that. And I have
Mm.
to say that I've grown past that, and I'm going to allow people to be in their belief systems. I'm not going to knock it. I'm going to agree to disagree respectfully and
Mm-hmm.
allow people to have their perceptions. Me, because just like you, learning to unlearn some of those programmings that have been, placed out there for us, and learning that the way that we are, we're built different for a reason, and it's okay to be the authentic version of ourselves. That took me a long time to get to that. I would switch back and forth because it was uncomfortable,
Mm.
especially in work environments, in
Mm-hmm.
society. There's this expectation, there are certain things that you're supposed to do, or it's a faux pas if you do this, or it's taboo if you say this, and all of that comes from some of the teachings of scripture and things. And again, not knocking it, a lot of them are valid points. I just have a different perspective on it because of my relationship with myself. And I have a personal relationship with divine source creator. You can call him God, Allah. Different religions have different
Mm.
labels. It still comes back to the one source, and
Yes,
we come
indeed.
from the one source. So it's really interesting. And I have to apologize for a lot of times, me as your mother, my mind tends to be on one subject, I'll go off on another subject, and I come back. But the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you can keep up says a lot, because that's really interesting. And I'm
Indeed.
taking notes as yeah. And I have my, notes that I'm going to be taking as well
Mm.
as we go through, because this podcast for me, it means me being able to voice and be my most authentic version of myself. And that means being quirky, being silly, being serious, being philosophical, sharing my spiritual experiences, sharing my life experiences. We are such infinite beings. And the term infinite gem for me, because gem is like this spiritual nickname that I sort of gave myself, but essentially we're infinite beings, and we don't have to be put in a box to be one thing or another. We wear
Mm.
many hats. We're layered. We have all these, like an artichoke or an onion, there's layers to us. And when we have the freedom and opportunity to explore that, it's a beautiful thing. And if we can do that without the judgment of others saying, no, that's not right, you're this and you're that, or you should do this or you should do that, when you're not grounded in yourself, you have a tendency to change and want to revert back or go do it this way, because we all want acceptance. But wouldn't it be beautiful if we were accepted for just being an authentic version of ourselves?
Mm.
We're not hurting anybody, we're just being different, and it's not,
Mm-hmm.
giving any type of, pain or affliction or malady to anybody. We are being the version of ourselves that we're comfortable with. We're not comfortable trying to fit into the box. There is no box. To me,
Mm.
in my mind, in my experience,
Mm.
there really is no box. We truly are infinite beings, and we can do the things that we choose to do, you know?